What's up, y'all? My name is Carl Parker, Coach Carl, and I'm a strength and conditioning coach for amateur and professional boxers in the Hampton, Virginia area. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I spent my entire younger life being involved in different activities. I played basketball, football, baseball, ran track, wrestled, kicked a little soccer, and I was always involved in martial arts and boxing. So, needless to say, I was always in shape. I remember I used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and run like 4 or 5 miles. I used to run the whole city. It didn't matter. I go down my neighborhood, cut through a couple other neighborhoods, and in the middle of the night, running with a Walkman. Y'all remember the Walkman? Had it on my side with the headphones on, and I just run in the middle of the night. I'd run wherever. It didn't even matter. It didn't matter whether it was raining. It didn't matter whether it was snow on the ground. I just used to like to run, and I was in that kind of condition. So imagine my surprise when I reached 46 years old and I was walking past the mirror and I saw my belly hanging over my belt. Not exactly what I expected at that time. So I decided that I was going to get myself in better shape. And I knew that because I spent so many years getting out of shape, it was going to take a considerable amount of time to get myself back in shape. So the first thing I did was I woke up in the morning and I came downstairs and I opened up the refrigerator and I took out a half a bottle of Coke 45 and I dumped it in the sink. That was how the whole thing got started. And that day I decided that I was going to start with what I called the 50 package. It was 50 jumping jacks, 50 squats, 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and 50 forward and backwards arm rotations. I figured that would be enough to kind of get me started. So I tried it. And once I tried it, I realized that I couldn't reach 50. Now, you're talking about a guy that used to do 100 push-ups non-stop. A guy that used to do sit-ups every day. A guy that was the picture of health to all my family and all my friends. And I couldn't do 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, 50 arm rotations forward and backwards, 50 jumping jacks, and couldn't do 50 squats. So needless to say, I had a lot of work to do. So what I did is I set up a plan. And I set up a plan that I thought was going to work for me. So I was able to do 25 jumping jacks at a time. I was able to break the push-ups down into 5 at a time. I was able to break the sit-ups down to 25 at a time. I did 25 squats at a time. And I did 25 forward and backwards arm rotations. I stopped and did something else, and then I came back to them and did them again. And I was able to make that program work. And eventually, as I kept doing it, I kept getting better at it. I remember I had been working out for probably about a month and a half. And I had found myself losing a few pounds, but I really wasn't changing nothing in the kitchen, which is why this is where I'm doing this interview, in the kitchen. Hadn't changed nothing in the kitchen. And every fitness and health instructor in the world says that dieting starts in the kitchen. Getting in shape starts in the kitchen. It don't start in the gym. So what I said I was going to do is I was put my program together, and I cut out a couple of things, but I didn't really know what to cut out, so I just cut out a couple of things. So I just tried to cut out like the honey buns, and I tried to cut out the triple bread peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I cut out the beer. So I watched myself slowly start getting back in shape. So after about a month and a half, I decided I was going to take a picture of myself so I could document where I was. And I was going to weigh myself so I could document where I was. Well, I weighed 198 pounds at 5'6". And that wasn't acceptable to me because when I was in martial arts and boxing, I was 132. So I'm 60-some pounds heavier than I should have been. So I decided that I had to start somewhere, so I started there. So every day I would come home from work and I would get on the floor and I would do all of this stuff, and I was dying. I used to get to the point where I got to 5 push-ups and I started paying attention because I didn't want to face plant in the carpet. And so people used to ask me, they said, well, Carl, how did you get out of shape? I got out of shape because I owned a gym. Excuse me. I owned a gym, a boxing gym, called The Art of Boxing in Hampton, Virginia. And I spent so much time training everybody else that I neglected my own training. So, you know, it's real easy to neglect your own training when you got classes going all day and you spending so much time teaching everybody else. So I decided that it was my time. I had just closed the gym and I decided that it was my time to try to get myself back into some type of shape. So every day I came home and I went through my workout routine. I made it a habit of coming in the house and doing it first, not doing anything else, not eating and then deciding, well, I can't work out because I just finished eating, not you know, going places and then coming home too late to put the whole program together. So I did it when I first came home. So I would go through my little routines and then I decided I was going to go for walks. So I started going for walks because I couldn't run. So I go for walks, and the walks were always like 1 mile or 2 miles or 3 miles, and I was timing myself, and I was doing 16, 17 minutes a mile. That was respectable for someone trying to get back in shape. I had all kinds of ailments though. I mean, like my feet was hurting and my right shoulder was hurting and my back was hurting and I had headaches some of the times. I think that was from high blood pressure. I don't know. I was just all a mess. But I didn't start out that way because I was always so athletic. I used to go places with my tank tops on and I was flexing my muscles and making the biceps. I was doing my thing. So, you know, for someone like me to be out of shape at this point, it was one of them deals that I had to get a hold of myself, because I always had a motto that I would never die from something that I could control. Like, I'm not going to ride no wheelie on no motorcycle. I'm not going to do no donuts in no car. I'm not going to bungee jump. I'm not going to dive off of the Eiffel Tower and none of that. And I'm not going to die from high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, none of that. Overweight, obesity, none of that. So I had to get myself in gear. I had to shift gears, you know, get myself in gear and start putting myself in the right perspective so I could be here a little longer. So I had already started my little workout plan and I was already starting to walk, and I kind of got into things and things started working out. I remember when, like I said, I used to do 5 push-ups at a time to get to 50. I used to do 5 and then take a 30-second break and then do 5 and take a 30-second break. But I noticed that I was getting in shape because the 30-second breaks became 20-second breaks, and then they became 10-second breaks. And before you knew it, I could do 10. And then before you knew it, I could do 20. I remember the first time I got to 25 push-ups, man, I was jumping up and down like I had just won the lottery. I had got to 25 push-ups, and then I took a 30-second break, and I was able to do 25 more. I died in the second set, but the fact was I was able to do them. And so then I was, you know, like I said, I was getting in pretty good shape, and I was trying to get my confidence up, and I decided Saturday and Sunday, that's going to be the day that I'm going to come home and I'm going to start running. I had this illusion that I was going to run a mile on my first try because I was the man. I remember being Cool Carl. And I was running down my street with the music playing in my ear, and I was saying to myself, this street look mighty long, mighty long. And I got halfway down the street and I had to stop and start walking. And I let the music talk to me, and I started running again. And I got to the corner and I checked my little app and it said 0.63. Well, I said if I turn around and run back home, I'd be at a mile. And I started jogging. I thought I was doing something. I was pumping the arms and I was taking that deep breath and breathing it out. And I thought I was doing something, until I realized I only took like 10 steps and I was walking again. Those are the trials and tribulations of trying to get back into training, especially when I used to run the entire city. I couldn't sleep at night. I was never really a sleeper, so I used to wake up, you know, get my little Walkman together, sleep about an hour, wake up, get my little Walkman. Remember the Walkmans with the cassette in it, or the Walkmans with the CD in it? And then you had the headphones, and you put the cord here, and you throw it across, and you put your jacket on or your hoodie on, put the Walkman in your pocket and the hoodie, and then you go running in the middle of the night. I mean, my neighbors used to see me, and they'd be like, where you going, see? Man, I'm about to take this run. Y'all know how I do, man. And I used to run like 5 or 6 miles, sometimes 7 or 8 miles. I used to run the whole city. Run down one block, just cut blocks, just zigzag through, because I never got tired. I had been doing it since I was a kid, and it was all built in. And now to not be able to run 1 mile, that was a problem. But it was a problem that was going to be fixed, because one of the things that I pride myself on saying to myself is, I don't believe in quitting. I believe that I can do anything that I say I can do. But that's the problem. I wouldn't say it most of the time because I knew that that's how I was. In other words, when I finally decided that I was not going to drink any more beer, I didn't tell it to nobody. I didn't tell nobody, don't bring me no beer. I just didn't buy it myself. But when somebody showed up and they had that Colt 45 or that Bud Light Lime, I jumped right on it. Until I had to tell them, don't bring me no more beer. And they was like, why not? I said, because I don't drink no more. But when I said that, I couldn't go back over it. So that's how I tricked myself. Sometimes you got to trick yourself. You got to make yourself believe in your own crap. So now I was working out, and I wasn't drinking beer, and I wasn't eating bread, and I stopped the honey buns and the ice cream, the things that I knew that was adding to the belly. And I started eating a little bit better, but I started reading. So when you start reading, you become dangerous. So I started reading. And the first thing I wanted to read was, how many calories should I be eating? How much fat should I be eating? So what I did is I got a piece of paper, and I wrote across the top of the paper, like you get a notebook piece of paper, and you write across the top a whole bunch of titles, and then you just go straight down, and you start filling in the blanks. So what I did is I wrote calories, carbs, protein, fat, sugar, and sodium. And I had a number across the top: 2,400 calories, 80 carbs, 115 protein, 65 fat, and sugar was 38, and the sodium was 2,500. You don't want to go past 2,500 because it can cause high blood pressure. And like I said, I'm not going out like that. So then I would eat things, and as I ate things, I looked at the back of the boxes or the back of the packages, and I would write down the numbers. And when I first started it, all my numbers would be wrong. At the end of the day, all my numbers was wrong. So then what I ended up doing was it's the process of elimination. I started getting smarter. I started taking this number and mixing that number and eating half of this and only eating, like, I used to eat 2 pieces of bread, 2 eggs, and 2 turkey bacon. But then I realized that the extra piece of bread was extra numbers. So I took the extra piece of bread off, and I put the bread, and then I had the 2 eggs and the bacon, and I folded over like a burrito, and I ate it like that. It still tastes the same. It's just 1 less piece of bread.